welcome everyone to the second episode here on the show. We are Tim and Simi, and today we are going to talk about podcasting and especially listening to podcasts. Because maybe you are listening to podcasts frequently and you have many shows that you are listening to, or maybe that's one of the first episodes you're ever listening to. So we want to just give you some ideas why we are listening to podcasts, how we came up with that, and when you might want to listen to podcasts, what topics might be the right for you, and how to find podcasts that you want to listen to. First, a small introduction. How did I personally start to listen to podcasts? And that all started when I was in my third semester in university. And the first 2 semesters, I mostly had online lectures due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then it got clear that in the third semester, we would have more lectures at the campus. So I knew I would be driving a lot. It's about 40 kilometers from my home to the university. And then I thought, I don't want to listen to music all the time when I drive, because at some point that just got a bit annoying for me. And I knew it, like, also with the loud noise all the time, it wasn't too healthy. I knew that. So I decided to look for something else. And I had already listened to a few podcasts about like self-development in the past. So I decided to just download podcasts for the rides in the car. And first I actually started with like going to the websites of some podcasters I was listening to and downloading episodes and somehow managing them on my phone and trying to get them up. And then I realized that just doesn't make much sense. That was way too complicated. Then I conducted some research and I figured out that there are actually some apps to listen to podcasts. So I tried them out and I downloaded the app Pocket Casts. Of course, there are many more. But I tried it with Pocket Casts and I really like this app. And then I started listening to podcasts first while I was in the car. There was like the biggest time or the biggest space I had to listen to podcasts. And at some point I also started, like while I was doing chores, for example, or when I went jogging, to listen to podcasts then. And I accumulated many hours by now. It's like, I think 3.5 years, something like that I really started listening to podcasts. And it's many hours by now that I've listened. So, Simi, do you want to tell us how you got into that?
Yeah, of course. But first, how did you manage to go back in time and try to download all of the podcasts onto your phone? Like, my first thought would have been to just listen to it on YouTube when I don't know that there are apps or something. But going back in time to download it from a website, that's wild. That's actually, I kind of like this.
Yeah, I didn't want to stream them because I didn't want to use up all my mobile internet. So there was, and I used to listen to the podcasts on their websites. So I didn't know anything else. And I've seen that you can download them there. So I realized, or I figured that would be the best solution. And then, yeah, it turned out it wasn't. Don't do that. Don't download the episodes. Just take a streaming platform and stream them. That's way easier.
I can imagine, like, the first podcast, like the first episode or something is working, and then I could imagine as soon as you have like 4 or 5, it gets convoluted and messy. And also I can't find the word. Your cloud and stuff gets full, you know?
My memory, yes.
So that's also a bit. Yeah, so I started to listen to podcasts because I had stuff to do. Like, I like when I have to do things for university, for example, or for school. I started 2020 while in the pandemic, and I had to do a lot of homework and homeschooling stuff, and I had nobody around to talk to me or like to be with me. And then I really like to just put something on to have it in the background a little bit. So I was feeling in a productive environment because somebody was doing something and I was doing something too then. And I did that a lot. Or for longer car drives. I then put in my headphones and just was listening to podcasts because like YouTube videos and music was really annoying at some point when you have to do it often. So I just switched to podcasts because it's easier. You just have an audio file and you can look for topics you're interested in, and then you can just, you don't have to watch something simultaneously or like keep the screen on or something. So that was really cool. So I did that a lot. And then I just kept doing that.
On which app are you listening to the podcast?
I'm mainly listening on the iPhone podcasts. I think it's iPod or something. I don't quite know how the app is called, but like every iPhone has that app.
What do you like the most about that app? Why are you using it?
It's the first app I started to use and never tried something else because it was working. So I don't know. Really, I really don't know if another app would be more like would be smarter to use. I also looked up at like Spotify. There are also many podcasts there, but I got really confused by all the music and podcasts and audiobooks and stuff like that. And then I went back to my trusty app of podcasts to use because I got just confused and distracted.
Yeah, it was pretty similar to me. When I started, I wasn't using an iPhone, so I had to download an app. And I think Pocket Casts was just the first app. I googled it and it was the first thing I got recommended, so I tried it. And I really like about it that you have a little statistic to see at which date you started and how many hours you have listened to podcasts since then. So I really like that. And what I also really like is you can put podcasts up to play next, and you can download them. And once you have listened to them completely, it will immediately be removed from your downloads, and it will also disappear from the lists from that podcast. So you will only see the podcast you haven't listened to yet, and then you can hit a button to see all of them if you, for example, want to re-listen to an episode. So I really like it, but I, just like you, I haven't tried several apps. I just took the first one and it worked, so I kept with it. How do you find the right podcast to listen to?
It depends. Like, first of all, it depends on the topic I want to listen about. And like I have some topics I like to listen about. It's mainly history. I really like to learn about history, and so it makes sense to listen to history podcasts. And I also really like when people discuss stuff. So mainly movies and TV shows. So I listen to that a lot. And when I have to work something, then I really like to put on like gaming critiques and stuff in the background, because it doesn't matter if I catch everything. And they're oftentimes so long, like 4 hours, 3 hours, 2 hours. So I really like that I have something so long with me then.
That's really interesting. I most of the time listen to self-help podcasts. I've also used podcasts to study languages. And what I find really cool about podcasting is that they are somehow all connected. Like many great podcasts when they have many episodes. They have guests over every now and then some guests have own podcasts, so you can check them out. And I think I basically just started with one podcast, and then over that podcast I found other podcasts, and then I have a mix of different podcasts I like to listen to. And also some podcasts I just found because I was watching YouTube videos, and then I figured out that the person who made those videos also makes podcasts, and then I subscribed his channels, and so I got quite many podcasts I'm listening to currently. And they also came and went again in different phases. For example, I had one phase where I really enjoyed listening to podcasts about chess for a few months or so. And at some point I dropped it again and went back to more the self-help stuff again. So it's also really interesting that, I had different podcasts I enjoyed at different times.
Yeah, I really like that when you look back on like stuff you already listened to, it's a really interesting time traveling backwards, because you see where you were in that kind of time in your life, what you were interested in, and what you outgrew sometimes, or where you evolved into something else. I really like when you look back on the stuff you listen to.
Yeah, that's true. Also, for me, with my self-development, I can see that some habits I still have today are from some kind of podcast I have listened to at some point, and then I tried it out. And those small habits or like tiny changes in my mindset, they are still with me until today. When I first started, it was quite difficult for me because I really enjoyed, especially in the car, I really enjoyed listening to music. And then it was difficult for me to force myself to be productive, quote unquote, and to listen to podcasts. But what I found really interesting is that at some point I realized that I really enjoyed listening to podcasts. And I once heard that paradigm that when you do things that are good for you, then like your brain will learn that these are good for you, and then you will enjoy them because they are good for you. And I think that's really what happened to me with podcasts, because my brain learned that they are really good for me, and that's why I enjoyed them so much that I was really looking forward to, I drive to university, I can listen to a podcast on the way. And I didn't even for a long time I didn't even want to listen to music anymore, because I just enjoyed podcasts so much. And I had it a few times that I wanted to give myself a break and listen to some music and enjoy myself. And after a few songs, I got annoyed from the music, and I was like, I just changed to podcasts again, because I enjoyed that even more. So that was really interesting. And nowadays, I start to enjoy music a bit more again. And I don't know if I liked it, because, of course, listening to podcasts feels more productive. So I give myself the challenge to, when I fire up my headphones or when I plug in my phone in the car, that I will start with a podcast. And I don't have to listen to it. I just start a podcast, and then I can switch over to music. But I want to make it easier for myself to keep listening to podcasts. So I force myself to just put one in. And then if I really want to listen to music, then that's fine. But sometimes just forcing myself to pick one and listening to the first sentence is enough that I just keep it in and listen to the whole thing while I drive. Do you want to add anything to that conversation?
I mean, I don't drive in a car. I'm the passenger in a car, but I'm most of times not in a driving position. So I'm often I'm never alone in the car. So never. apart from when I'm waiting, when somebody's doing something. So I don't have that kind of thing, you know what I mean? It's not that I have to find something to do because I could be alone in the car. So that part completely is gone. But I sometimes, like, I think you can have great carpool, karaoke, fun time in the car with other people and just sing to songs and make a party of it. But sometimes it's just, I just like to listen to something and learn something while you listen to it. That's really cool. And sometimes I also start a podcast when somebody else is doing music and I just don't vibe with that. So then I just put some earplugs in and be like, okay, I will do something entirely different now because that just annoys me.
Yeah, I understand what you mean with the car. I also, like, I mostly listen to podcasts when I drive alone. Because, like, when other people are in the car, then it's more difficult to find something everyone enjoys. And then people start having conversations and then you can't listen anymore properly. So most of the podcasts I listen to, I also put them in when I drive alone. So that's an advantage of driving a lot, especially alone. And you can learn more with the podcast. Then I will wrap this episode up and mention again the two main takeaways that we wanted to convey. The first one is that listening to podcasts is a really good opportunity to use downtimes, like where your body is moving, but you don't really have to concentrate on anything, especially like driving, when you're driving a lot, especially driving the same routes over and over again. You can just use that to listen to podcasts. Chores are also a great opportunity to do that. And then you can just productively use that time. And I also want to encourage you that there are so many great podcasts out there. And no matter what area you're interested in or what topics you really like, you will find a podcast that is covering that, and you will find something that you enjoy. Sometimes you have to dig a bit further, but you will find something. So it's worth to put in the work there and put in the research, and then everyone will find a really cool podcast. Sometimes over a few corners, but the good podcasts are out there, and we all have the time to listen to them. Simi and I have had an idea, and we want to give you a journaling prompt at the end of each episode. So maybe you're familiar with journaling, maybe you have a journal or a diary, and if you have, so that's really cool. We want to encourage you to just use the journal you have to put it in. If you don't have one, maybe you want to get one. Journaling is a really cool habit. We will probably make an episode about that in the future. Or if you don't have anything, just take a piece of paper and write it down, write about it.
Notes page.
Yeah, exactly. You can also do it digitally if that's easier for you. And we have 2 questions for you, and we invite you to think about that and write it down. And of course also act upon it when you have the right answers. And the first question is, at what times or during which activities in your everyday life do you want to start listening to podcasts? So where are the spots in your routine where you can just put some podcasts in, learn something new, have some fun? That's the first question. And the second question is, what topics do you want to learn more about? So maybe you already have some topics you're maybe watching videos about or reading about. So that would be a great addition to just have some podcasts there too. Or maybe you want to try something new, maybe like a new language, or you want to start something new and start learning about it. So write about it, think about it, write it down, and then I'm sure you will find something out there that is right for you. That's it for today, and we encourage you to visit our website darling-and-darling.com, and we have a blog there. We put new blog posts out there every now and then, and we also have a feedback form. If you want to give us some feedback, let us know something, then reach out to us. We are looking forward to that, and then you will hear us next week.
Until then, bye bye.
Bye bye.